Tyler here with another Awaken Chaos Era video, and in today's video we're going to be doing a character review for William. Easily one of the best epics in the entire game for this game, so if you're lucky enough to pull him, unfortunately it's gacha only when it comes to William, but if you're lucky enough to pull him, he's an amazing character and definitely worth taking a closer look at onto why he's so good. So we got 4 things to cover: his kit, who to use him with, where to use him, and how to build him. So before we get into this video, if we could get a like on the video, that'd be awesome. Also subscribe to the channel for more Awaken Chaos Era content. With all that out of the way, let's get into the video here. So to start, let's look at his base stats here. The base stats are a really good indicator on exactly what we can expect out of this character. B tier attack means he's not going to do much damage, but A tier health and defense easily going to be very great at survivability. B tier speed is pretty standard. It's not bad. I would say C tier is when it actually gets pretty noticeable on how slow the character is. There's a lot of characters that are B tier, so you're only really competing with other characters that are damage dealers, so being able to outspeed them is going to be pretty easy, especially when we're not focusing on damage for this character. All of the damage gear that doesn't have much speed on it is going to be for our damage dealers that most of the time have B tier speed as well, so him going first is not going to be a problem. And then B tier crit rate, since he's not doing damage anyway, who really cares? He could have F tier crit rate and it's not going to really matter too much because his damage is pretty negligible anyway. Now that we got the idea based on his base stats, let's look at his kit here and kind of figure out why he's so good. Let's start with his passive. So the basic abilities of all team members are deal 40% more damage, which is great. It works with a whole bunch of characters. It's going to make your damage dealers a lot better, but mainly you're going to be looking for characters that have really good basic attacks. So we're going to be looking into characters that work well with him here in a moment, but already we're off to a good start with one of the best passives in the game. You get to send it and do even more damage there. If you've been playing for a bit, you'll notice that it used to be 50% more damage and then 80%, but he got nerfed, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I still think he's a great character even with the nerfs here. So then his A1, which is great, which is deals 50% damage to an enemy. The damage is really not relevant when it comes to him. The thing that matters is launches a joint attack with a random ally. Opens up a ton of potential, finding heroes that have really good auto attacks, and we'll look into that here in a moment, but amazing A1. Okay, so then his A2 also synergizes well with his passive, which is grants 1 stack of counterattack to all team members and applies defense up 2 to the main target for 3 turns. One thing to take note of is that his counterattack doesn't work with giving himself an extra ability. So you can't counterattack and then also launch the joint attack with a random ally, which is kind of a bummer, and I thought that's how it would work. Other games that's exactly how it would work. It's only just going to auto attack. Also thing to take note of is how the counterattack works in this game, where it's 1 stack of it, where it's not turn based. You're not going to run out of counterattack. You're always going to at least be able to get that 1 piece of counterattack off, because the buff is just going to stay there until that character's attack. So it's going to persist through round changes and just indefinitely if you don't get attacked for a while. So you'll always be able to rely on that, which I think is an interesting way of doing counterattack in this game, but I think it's a lot better, especially in a game like this where you can't overlap people. So I think it's a really good ability. And then obviously it synergizes well with his passive, where it's going to be giving people more damage off their auto attacks. Already we have a great character, and we haven't even got to his ultimate yet, which is deals 100% damage to all enemies and with a 80% chance to apply defense down for 2 turns. So nothing too crazy here, but it's still just a really solid ability that is giving AoE defense down. He's a support character. You're trying to make your damage dealers, for the most part, do more damage, and so then he's doing that as well by applying the defense down, which I think is great. It just seems to really round out his kit. It's nothing too crazy. It doesn't need to be. To be honest, he doesn't even need an ultimate, and he's still amazing. So now that we have an idea of how his kit works, let's talk about the best characters to pair with William. Okay, so when it comes to synergizing well with William, there's a couple things you got to keep in mind, but mainly is how good your auto attack is. Ideally, it's not just damage, but you want to be able to damage and do an AoE off the auto attack. That'd be ideal. Or you would want to be able to apply debuffs off an auto attack, or be able to apply some support things like maybe shields, maybe heals off the auto attack. Those are the things to look for in the auto attack, not just necessarily damage. And you also want to ask yourself, if this character is called into assist, am I happy that this character is called in? Do I want this ability to be called in regardless if it's enough damage or if it's a supporting move? Because if they have an auto attack that doesn't do anything, then it's gonna feel really bad when you're using William's A1 and then 33% of the time you're gonna call in this useless character that's not gonna do much for your team. A couple examples of this. So when it comes to damage, well, the reason why Nathalia is so popular is because her auto attack, she actually has potential to be able to AoE with her auto attack. It's one thing to be able to do damage when you call into assist, but it's another and very rare to be able to, when you call into assist, she can AoE offer A1. And that's what makes her so good. Also, it synergizes well too because she has the passive here where when she auto attacks, she grants a random stat up. And then if you know her kit, I'll link in the corner a guide for her. She's one of the few characters that can AoE off of her auto attack, but the rest of her kit relies on her buffing herself. So this is going to be a good way to jump ahead of the queue, that if you happen to randomly hit this, she's going to give herself the random stat up. She's going to be able to proc this second passive here where when she has a buff, she's able to apply attack up and immune. So it just really works well together. And that's why you see so much William and Athalia combos in this game, because they're just matched up so well together. Next would be another example would be Poisoners. This is a really common combo with William, where it's you either bring in Gangello or you bring in Santis. This is probably going to be the way more common version of this, because not only is she fusible, but she's not a legendary, and she's just really good and works really well with William's kit because of her passive, where attacks against enemies affected by poison have a 50% chance of applying an additional poison. So she's giving herself so many extra opportunities to apply these poisons before they tick down, so you can really build up a ton of poisons. Because if she goes, she auto attacks. Then if she gets called into assist, then she'll apply not only one poison, but has a 50% chance to apply another poison. Let alone if you have her fully ascended, then she's guaranteed to apply 2 poisons. So then now you have 3 poisons, which is all before the poisons can tick. So you can really start to build up a ton of poisons on these characters, because not only is there a counterattack available for her so she can go again, or you can use her ult on the next go around and she's going to apply 2 more poisons and extend the benefits or extend the duration of all those previous poisons. So William's an amazing character to bring with Santis, so you can really start stacking poisons, and you can get like 5 poisons on the character in one rotation, then extend them all so you can keep applying that same passive to where you need poisons to be able to apply multiple poisons in one ability. So amazing character to pair with William, and it doesn't necessarily need to just be damage, it could be about debuffs too. Then lastly, I wanted to talk about a character that is providing support that works well with William, which would be Mathasia here, because what she can do is her auto attack is deals 50% damage to an enemy and grants a shield for 2 turns to an ally with the lowest health. Shield strength scales with this character's max health here. So if she gets called into assist, she's going to be helping heal the character with the lowest HP on the team. So it's a good way to make sure people stay alive. It also helps her passive, which the abilities of all team members recover 5% of max health if the target has a positive effect. So she'll be able to go out of turn, auto attack, provides a shield. Then her passive, if that character goes, they now have a shield which counts as a buff, so when they use an ability, they're going to recover 5% of health out of turn, which is amazing. So you get a lot of synergy there too. So there's a couple examples of a damage way, a debuff way, and a buff way on how you can take advantage of William's kit to really get a lot of synergy there. Now that we got team comps out of the way, now let's look at some of the best gear options for William. So talking about gear for him, me personally, I just have him in a raider set, so just a speed set here. I think his kit works best going first. I want him to apply the buffs for his team. I want him to be able to put defense down first as an AoE if I choose to do that move. Also, I would love to be able to just call people into assist, because some people, when they do their auto attack, they could give themselves a buff, for example. So all of his kit, I think, works best with him being first in the turn order. So that's why I just have him simply in a raider set. When you farm Ashe, this dungeon here, farming average sets for your damage dealers and then raider sets for everyone else, like your supporters being able to go fast there. So I just happened to put him in raider sets. One thing he unfortunately doesn't get to take advantage of is curse sets. I just want to get this out of the way really quick, where after attack there's a 35% chance of launching a bonus attack using the character's basic ability. So I think a lot of people would assume, and I think rightfully so, assume that because of his really good auto attack here, where he could call people into assist, that a cursed set would be awesome for him, but it doesn't work that way. Cursed set doesn't proc this ability multiple times, and you kind of got to get that on a case-by-case basis, because for example, cursed sets work with poison characters, but not for something like this. Like an ability like this, it doesn't work that way, which is weird. And so you just kind of got to test it and see if it's going to work or not, or watch videos like this, and you'll know that it doesn't work. So it saves you time and saves you resources, and you're not wasting it going for that kind of synergy there. Other sets that I think would work great on William are, especially in the beginning of the game, a Terra set, just giving him more health. I think that's totally totally fine. I would stay away from like warrior and rage sets. Those are just damage sets and he doesn't really benefit from that. Vanguard set is totally fine. It's just not that, you know, I think there's potentially better ones out there, but yeah, giving him more defense is never going to hurt. I think a revival set's probably really good on him. I think revival sets in general, especially on your characters that are not damage dealers, are just awesome. Being able to consistently restore 10% of max HP at the start of the turn, or 20% if under 50% HP. I use a ton of these revival sets on a lot of my healers, especially in harder versions of the Void Tower, also in the Guild Boss. I think these are just really good sets for increasing sustain for your characters throughout content that's, you know, long form like that, and that are going to take multiple turns, and you could actually really benefit from something like that over stuff like in the beginning of the campaign where your goal is to be able to clear that fast. So you're not really needing to have a revival set because you're not going to be planning on taking all this damage. Cursed sets, we talked about that. Assassin set doesn't make any sense for him because he's not doing damage. Divine set, he doesn't really heal. That's pretty much going to be it when it comes to this guy on what sets are actually going to be good for him. Mainly it's just going to be raider sets, and then any kind of survivability in Vanguard or Terra sets, and then lastly you could argue a Raptor set to give him more focus, because he is a character that applies debuffs, but for the most part you could just get a raider set and then get good rolls on focus and you'll be fine. Eventually, especially in higher end arena, people are going to have such high resistance that you might need a ton of focus, and the only way to ever get there is going to be with those Stella sets, these Raptor sets in the future. So maybe this is going to be something long term, but as of now I think raider sets are totally fine with him, and then any way to get him as tanky as possible. Fast and tanky as possible is really the main goal with William. Well, that's going to do it here for my guide on William. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have any more questions in regards to William here. Also, if you guys are looking for a way to be able to play Awaken Chaos Era on computer, I use LD Player, so link will be down in the description below. Also, if you found this guide helpful, please like the video. It really goes a long way in supporting the channel. And I'm going to be throwing up a few videos up here if you guys want to take a look at some more of my Awaken Chaos Era videos. You'll see one over here, maybe one right here. And with that, guys, I am out. Peace.